And we will be back right after this.
So I kind of screwed up. I'm sure we pressed play. I'm not sure what happened. The camera or computer, either or, have eaten the footage of this finished part, of all of this getting made, where we welded that on. The detail is important, but it isn't important, but you know.
Here we go again.
I'm going to give you a really quick update on what on earth is going on here. Basically, we have the burn chamber thingy. Just up front, I'm not an expert on making charcoal, not down with all the correct terminology to describe all these parts. All I know is I put wood in here and charcoal comes out. It's wonderful. So this is the burn chamber. We have 31 16mm holes that go all the way around the top. My understanding of the principle is that we're introducing oxygen up here. So this is where all the wood gas and stuff and the methane and all those volatiles are burning off, starving the rest of it underneath of oxygen, which is how we're getting charcoal. But there isn't enough oxygen in the burn area to consume all that rich carbon charcoal-y goodness. So that's what's going on there. Got a whole heap of 16mm holes at the bottom and a ring of 10mm holes here. Why? It just felt good at the time, okay? As I say, I'm just making this up as I go. I basically went online and was like just looking at all the different styles and versions that there are of this sort of thing. And I kind of went, I like that feature of this one and I like that feature of this one, and I'm just going to bring it all together and hey, let's just see if it works. And thankfully it did. You didn't even see me make this, but yeah, this is just a box, stainless steel. This whole construction is what it is because it's what I had laying around. This section here is actually a bin that I found at a local Salvation Army thrift shop for like $6. So that's what that is. This again was some industrial rubbish that I found laying around. All I did was roll a ring and cut a hole in it to make it all fit together. The only thing interesting going on with this is the two holes down the bottom here that are 2 inches by 5 inches. So there's one on either side. That just gives enough airflow to keep the whole system running. Again, I just pulled those numbers out of the air and it just happened to work. So yeah, it's actually, I find that when something works the first time, you don't tend to learn as much. There's always a learning curve when you screw up because you have to work out how to make it right. Or in this case, I've fluked it. And so I haven't really learnt a lot other than it works. So if we have a look on the inside, there's really not a whole lot going on. As I said before, this is just a bin, and there are 4 little tabs that are spread around. So when I cut the circle out of the top of that box down below, I just left those there, and all they do is help keep the burn chamber thingy centralized, so we have an even air gap all the way around. And yeah, they're kind of a pain in the butt. It's perhaps a little bit too precise when you're taking it, at least when you're putting it in, but that's what they're for. Otherwise, this is just a standard sized waste bin, and I've obviously taken all the plastic bits off it and just been left with this nice outer cylinder. So it saved me having to fabricate that. But again, it's more than adequate for what this needs to be. It's just an outer shield that's going to keep the air flowing up through here. It sort of preheats it as it goes up, then is introduced at the top, mixed with the wood gas. Fire, fire equals heat, fuel, and oxygen. And anyway, let's run this. Yeah, that's annoying. This is what we're converting into charcoal. It's all just bits and pieces of old wood I had lying around. And the only thing that I've been told is important is to keep it all roughly the same size so that it converts at the same rate. So far, I did a mixture of pine and hardwood, and it all worked really well. The only parts that didn't convert properly were these couple of bits that were right at the bottom, and basically I just didn't let it go long enough, which is just inexperience on my part. When you pack this in, for those of you out there who are Tetris lovers, yeah, you got to really stack this thing in tight. Don't just throw it in there loosely. You want it packed in so that there's minimal air in there. Yeah, so you also get the maximum load out of this process. Yeah. According to the internet, this style of charcoal maker is a top-lit Updraft Retort. And also, according to the internet, this is the closest style of charcoal maker that is sort of rocket stove-y. I don't know about that, but anyway. What I like about this style of charcoal maker, compared to others that I've only seen, okay, so this is the only one I've ever used, all right, so take all this with a grain of salt, is the kilns type, which is basically, you know, you have like a barrel and you fill that full of your wood that you want to turn into charcoal, and then you light a fire underneath it and get it really hot, and eventually you'll create wood gas, and then you use that wood gas to funnel back underneath it to continue the process. And so at that point, the whole thing is self-sustaining. And what I don't like about that system is that you've got to use a fair bit of wood, a fair bit of fuel to get it to that point where it's self-sustaining. And as you build up to that point, you have all of this stuff that's coming out that looks like smoke, but it isn't smoke. And you've got this, it's called wood vinegar, which is basically it's tar and moisture and all the stuff that's in the wood. You've got to deal with that, and it just looks like quite a mess. Where with this style, you just don't get any of that. You light it at the top just like this, and as it burns down, it just converts it into charcoal, because all of the oxygen is being used at the top here, and it's basically there is enough air in the system from the holes at the bottom to sustain the fire, but it's not enough that the charcoal is completely consumed. It's a low oxygen environment, because most of it's this outer cavity on the outside is, you know, you're getting convection, it's drawing up through, and this is where most of the ignition is happening. And so this is great in my opinion. It's not using any extra fuel other than what you put in it to make the charcoal. So this is why I went with this design. It's a little bit more compact, it uses less fuel, and it's, yeah, you don't have any of that byproduct of the wood vinegar and the tar and all that stuff. You know, the other ones, while you're getting them going, you know, it's really obvious you're making charcoal. There's huge plumes of steamy smelling, you know, smoke that, it's not smoke, it's steam, but it's just, you wouldn't be able to do that in an urban environment without upsetting the neighbours, and fair enough. Where with this one, as you can see, like, you know, there is basically no smoke. We are, yeah, it's just burning away, just like like a backyard campfire. So this is why I went with this design. And I'm really pleased with how it's working out. Basically, I've just got to let this sort of get really well established, and once it's burnt down a bit, I'll put the lid on, and we'll be making charcoal at that point. So the time is 2:16. I guess it's time for me to go inside and have a cup of tea, and we'll come back in about an hour's time and check on the progress. So we are at the 1 hour mark now, and things are looking very happy. So what I learnt from the last time I was using this, the signs that we're nearly at the end of the process is we'll start to see light from the fire come out through this hole. That basically means that the fire is all the way down at the bottom of the burn chamber. I'll just let that go a little bit longer this time, and then I'll cover these holes with dirt, and I'll close the valve at the top. And that's a little safety device, because obviously if this fell closed halfway through the process, that would wreck everything. So yeah, we don't want to do that. So that's what the bit of pipe's for. But I'll close that, and then I'll fill that top part with decal, which is a really fine sandstone gravel. It's a very nice flame. It's extremely clean. fire has changed quite a bit. It's just gone a lot more mellow. And we're pretty much just running on coal gas now. That's really cool. It's actually pulling air down and through the bottom to burn up those last pieces. That's really fascinating. That's good. That's got all the smoke stopped. That's fully sealed that now. That's great. Now we'll just keep an eye on the bottom. See if I can get you down there. Come back tomorrow and see the results. It is the next day and those are some dismal results, and I'm pretty sure I know what happened. So what I think happened, what I'm pretty sure what happened is I didn't chop the wood up small enough for hardwood. The first batch was a mixture of hard and soft, and they were all about that size, and it was sort of able to all catch fire and convert through to charcoal in a reasonable amount of time, where this took twice as long. At the hour point when I came back out and checked it, it still was only halfway down. And so I think the harder the wood, the smaller the pieces need to be. That's just this learning curve. But the charcoal that's left is pretty nice. Yeah, it's sort of nice, shiny. Anyway, not the results I wanted, but this is the learning curve. I'd have to say though, compared to the other stuff, this charcoal feels really dense. It's a lot heavier. Like, yeah. So I'm going to do one more burn, and I'm going to show you the results of that once it's all done, so this video doesn't go for a ridiculous amount of time. So I'll bring you back for that. We're going to do some softwood, a bit of hardwood. We're going to do a mixed batch again, but I'm also going to use some of this tipawana tree that I've got growing around the place. So these are the size bits that I put in the last time, and this is the size I'm going for this time. So that's a pretty big difference, and this is closer to what I put in the first time around. So this is a very rough ratio of 50-50 tipawana and pallet pine. You know, this is about the size I've gone through the whole way through. There are some bigger bits, there are some smaller bits, and having thought about it as I was loading this up, if you put smaller stuff down the bottom and bigger stuff up the top, I reckon you'd get away with it, because the bigger stuff will last longer until you get down to the smaller stuff, because you want the stuff down the bottom to convert the quickest, so you're not burning through the top stuff. So I haven't really done that this load, but that's just a thought that I had. Big stuff up top, small stuff down the bottom, potentially will give you the best results. Look at that stuff. That is some fat wood there, and that I'm going to try using that as a fire lighter. So this is the final batch, and I got a little bit impatient and quenched it with water. I kind of want to get this video wrapped up today. The tipawana converted nicely down to charcoal, and we did lose a fair bit of volume again. I haven't managed to recreate that first run where basically I only lost half of the whole thing in volume, though on that first one I was extra careful to pack this thing as tight as possible. And everyone since then, I sort of figured, oh, I'll just tip it in and see what happens. So maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. But either way, I'm really pleased with this. Seems to be good quality charcoal for what I can tell. It sort of has that glassy feel to its sound when it's dry anyway. This is a little bit wet. But other than that, yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's working. I'm sure there's improvements, and I'd love to hear from you guys who have more experience in this area as to maybe what I'm doing wrong. I'm by no means an expert in this at all. I just need a bit of charcoal so I can progress in my desires to sort of develop my blacksmithing skills and get a bit of biochar on the side as well. Charcoal has lots of uses, none of which I can think of at the moment, but you know, good stuff. Anyway guys, it's a bit of a random video, but thank you all very much for coming along and watching to the end. And I might have put out a post showing a very large rocket stove that you all chimed in on to give me a name for it. That was supposed to be this video, but this is sort of what happened. I had materials to build this. I don't have materials to build that one yet. So that build is coming. But anyway, that's life sometimes. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. So 3 burns has produced 35 litres or about 8 gallons of charcoal. So yeah. I have no idea if that's good or not, but it's a result. This is actually the end now, I promise.